Welcome back. Like I never left. And today we are talking about AEW Revolution. Well, the show starts off firecracker. I never quite understand how these AEW shows start with like in the middle of a match. The broadcast kind of starts in the middle of a match. That's kind of crazy to me. Well, the match we started in a over the top rope battle royale style match for the national AEW National Championship, which the last two competitors I could see was Ricochet and Jungle Jack Perry. It was won by Jungle Jack Perry. Um, Jungle Jack Perry is a wrestler I've always appreciated, I must say. I don't remember a great deal about his father, Luke Perry. I understand he was also a famous wrestler. I would have to look him up, I'm afraid. But Jungle Jack Perry is a wrestler I really enjoy. I really think that is a cool brother right there. That is a cool brother with ridiculously curly hair. How you get that? That's not even, he ain't putting no products in that. That's just curly like that. Wow, that's okay. I'm a little bit jelly. I have to come with a throw. No? Which led us to a tag team match for the AEW tag titles. It was FTR versus the Young Bucks. Well, you knew that was going to be a classic. That's two classic tag teams there. They have always had epic matches together. It's synonymous. Those are tag teams for life. Both of them very emotional as far as the whole family, bringing the whole family out in as far as the Young Bucks, all their nieces and nephews. And at the end of the day, they did put on a great match, massively great match. Basically, just the effort that was put in, the storytelling within the match. I thought it was easy enough to see that the winners should have been the Young Bucks. It wasn't. It was FDR. I don't understand why you bring your family all the way out to a wrestling show, a PLE pay per view, whatever you want to call it, for the Young Bucks to lose in front of their entire family. That didn't make sense to me. That was weird. But yeah, FDR won. And then we were presented with Pope and Cage, Edge and Christian, um, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, however you want to put it. We were presented with them at the end of the match to get a little bit of revenge on FTR. Obviously, this storyline has been going on for quite some time. I believe that's probably who's going to take the tag team titles from FTR. I'm not sure you needed to use the Young Bucks as such a credible stepping stone, though, quite literally. Um, it seems that they were happy to do it because it was a big match. Understand that they are within the confines of management within the company to a certain extent as well. So maybe it was their idea. I don't know, but it didn't make sense to bring your whole family out for you to then lose the tag team titles. Not lose the tag team titles, but not win them. Basically, didn't make sense. Edge and Christian together they look so good together. They look so good together. They've always been great together. They've always been great together. They will always be great together. I think what has been lost in Adam Copeland was found by Christian, ironically, and they look so good together. For the benefits of flash photography. So yeah, appreciate seeing those guys back together again, putting on great shows. Looking forward to many more. Toni Storm versus Marina Shafir. Yeah, I think this one goes well together. I think ever since there was kind of a couple of tag team bouts with Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm, Timeless Love Bombs, and they faced Marina Shafir, and I think it was Megan Bain. I think it started a little bit before that, but that was the first kind of that I noticed that there's really something between Toni Storm and Marina Shafir. I believe there could be another. Well, there is another match. We know this. At the time of filming this, that match will actually be tonight on Collision, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This is my second time of recording this video, the technical difficulties in the last recording. However, yeah, at the time of recording, actually tonight, they will be facing each other again. Actually, that's probably more like tomorrow morning because, again, I'm in the UK and I'm 6 hours ahead. So, yeah, but they will be facing each other again. There is something there between those two. Money. For me, Toni Storm is probably the best female wrestler, if not the best wrestler on the planet right now. And I mean that in a complete package. I don't just mean ring work or mic work. I mean the whole package altogether. The creativity, the mic work, the ring work, all of it together. She has encapsulated just the most perfect. She's almost got Ric Flair and Gorgeous George in there at the same time. You know what I mean? And I mean, I was very young for Ric Flair, but I've seen the clips, and I wasn't around for Gorgeous George, but I've also seen the footage of Gorgeous George, and it seems like it's just, you know. So I love that. Marina Shafir, do better. Toni Storm, 3 snap Germans. Be careful what you wish for. At the end of the match, Ronda Rousey. So she showed up to ruin another company. Female CM Punk. Female CM Punk. She showed up to ruin another locker room. Jon Moxley versus Konosuke Takeshita for the AEW Continental title. It was a fantastic match. It always is. Those guys put on a hard-hitting match. They like the hard-hitting, strong style. It's the best, closest thing we're going to get to, is it Stan Hansen? Stan Hansen? I think it was Stan Hansen. Versus Bruiser Brody.
There's going to be some blood this time. There's going to be lots of blood.
If you like to gamble, I tell you how you land. You win some, lose some, and do the same to me.
Oh, a hard-hitting affair, I am telling you. Just loved it, loved it, loved it. Well-worked match. Well-worked match. It was absolutely fantastic. I can't say anything more about those two performers. Konosuke Takeshita is obviously going all the way to the top. Phenomenal wrestler. I think if he gets acquired outside of AEW, they might be able to do more with him. The strong, silent type that absolutely runs over everyone is a great gimmick, and it's a great character. Let's see what happens with that. And we got something I was asking about for a few weeks, actually. When is Will Ospreay coming back? We would love to see Will Ospreay. This...
Look at this! Not only attack to try to end the career of Will Ospreay.
Do not get that mistaken with this. You can hear it in the voice. That's Essex. If he keeps telling you that he's from London, he ain't from London. He ain't from London. That's Essex. Completely different thing. Yeah? There's a lot of driving around in MR2s and Ford Fiestas and in farmland areas and claiming that you're from London. Is two different things. That's where Will Ospreay is from. We love him though. We love him though. Will Ospreay return? I think we need to stop the video packages. They're terrible. They're terrible. I've seen probably one that I really liked, and it was the one where it's where MJF returned. You saw his wardrobe, you saw all of that, and then he came back. That one was pretty good. The Jungle Jack Perry and Luchasaurus was... The Will Ospreay was so just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Find a different way to reintroduce wrestlers to the roster. You don't always have to use a video package. And it generally is always some kind of modern variation of Frankenstein's monster, where we hear the beeping in the hospital of the machine, and he's got the oxygen on his mouth, and then he wakes up and he starts screaming. It's always the same thing. Change it. Do something different, for the love of God. Babes of Wrath versus Divine Dominion. I kind of knew it was time for Babes of Wrath to let go of those titles. It's time for Harley and Willow to go their separate ways. I love those two girls. I love those two girls so ridiculously. Whether it's Puppet or big frizzy hair with smiling everywhere, I love those girls. I love those girls so much. Divine Dominion, they've gone for the title too many times. And that's not to say Lena Cross. That's to say more Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. There was also Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. And now there is Lena Cross has joined the team, and I guess they got it done. But the fact of the matter was, they had gone for it too many times. Megan Bayne is someone that AEW wants to make into a star. So eventually I see Megan Bayne holding the AEW women's title. It's only a matter of time. But there needs to be a progression for her to get into that sphere. And I think a part of that is holding tag titles. Lena Cross, I've got no idea where she came from. She's fairly new to the proceedings. I'd never seen her before. She looks fantastic, though. She does look absolutely fantastic. I can't fault her for a second. So let's talk about Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland versus Brody King. This is another match that I didn't quite get. I didn't understand why. For the moniker of the most dangerous man in AEW, I really don't understand why. The match doesn't do anything for anyone, especially how it ended. Brody King should have won. Swerve should have put Brody King over. If not to build him into the sphere of heavyweight where he should be at the moment. I think he kind of bounces around junior heavyweight. Despite his size and ability, and the fans love him. So I don't understand why they've got Brody King bouncing around the sphere that they have Brody King bouncing around. It made sense to put Brody King over and then maybe have a best of 3 matches. Maybe they will still do that where Brody King wins the next match, but I don't understand why they were having the match in the first place. Swerve's heel turn is too soon because it wasn't last year, but the year before, if I'm not mistaken, that he had the feud with Hangman. They still talk about he was heel during that whole time. He went away. He came back. He was face for probably about 4 months, if that. He had his little run-in with Hangman again, where they kind of teamed up, and the Will Ospreay storyline where they did those series of matches, and they didn't really do much else. He is now back to being heel. The situation he had with Kenny Omega, I guess they're building towards the summer where there's a big match between Kenny Omega and Swerve. But the fact of the matter is, you had a chance to do something with Brody King here, and the thing that you did with Brody King was essentially just sun him. What I mean by that is, at the end of the match, Kenny Omega needed to come to Brody King's aid. I don't think that was right. I don't think they should have done that. I don't think Brody King should need that. If you want to build Brody King, that's not how you do it. But as I think about it more and more now, I don't think any of this was about building Brody King. I think it's more building towards a feud with Kenny Omega in the summer, some kind of big match. That's what they're leaning towards. But I think it was a disjustice to someone like Brody King. I really do. I would have liked to see him do a lot better. This brings us to the AEW Women's Championship between Tekla and Chris Statlander. Now, Chris Statlander, great wrestler. I thought she lost the title a little bit earlier than she should. I would have thought she held on to the Women's World title a little bit longer than that. But as I look at the situation now, considering how long Toni Storm held on to the title, I would say that I think Chris Statlander was used as a transitionary champ to put it on Tekla, because Tekla was pretty much a draw the second she showed up in the company, and I think that's what AEW acquired her for. She was quite literally acquired to be champion. They just couldn't put the champion on her the day she walked in the door. She had to go through the process of being a wrestler on the roster, essentially never losing. And what's interesting about Tekla is it's quite possible for her to lose in her matches. It's very easy for her to lose in her matches. She just seems to have a knack for getting out of it with the win. I think she's fantastically made character. She's weird and wonderful and beautiful and weird. I said weird twice. It doesn't matter. Tekla is quite literally a draw. Now, they had a 2 out of 3 falls match. You knew they weren't going to, you knew Tekla wasn't going to lose the match. As to how she was going to win the match was the question. Daniel Bryan alluded to something, or Bryan Danielson, whichever way you want to say it, alluded to something in the match that I thought was very interesting. And it's where he said something he has done before, in which you can forfeit the second fall. So if you have the first fall, you can cheat in the second fall, get yourself disqualified. But whatever you did to get yourself disqualified in the second fall leads to you winning the third fall. I thought she might do something like that. She didn't quite, although she did do some nasty things in that match. She's interesting. She's very much a draw. And I'd like to see how far they go with her. I'd like to see who they pit her against, because I think that structure sometimes AEW does not have. Sometimes they don't have the structure of understanding the wrestler that you can't put against Tekla. Like, I would say the wrestler that you shouldn't put against Tekla is Toni Storm, because it does nothing for both wrestlers. That's your number one face and your number one heel. Don't put them, unless you figured out a real storyline that can go all the way, don't put them against each other. Because a perfect example is, as far as the women's locker room, in recent memory, the best storyline they have had in the female locker room has been Mariah May and Toni Storm. And Mariah May wasn't exactly classed as the biggest heel in the locker room. Maybe not until that feud. So yeah, I think keep those two apart for now. Keep building Tekla. So we're on to the trios title, which was Mystico, Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Carl Fletcher, Okada, and Mark Davis. Never heard of him. I would say I thought this was a great match. I didn't think Fletcher and Okada would lose the match whatsoever. The AEW really loves those guys so much and really believes in both those guys so much. And the fact that they're mobbing together at the moment, both from the Don Callis family, is it's quite funny, actually. It's quite funny. I call it the Oceania connection, Australia, Japan. But yeah, indeed, Speedball Mike Bailey, Mystico, and Kevin Knight won the match. Fantastic wrestlers. They put on an absolutely excellent match, but I didn't quite expect that of the three of them. Maybe I should have, considering the trajectory that especially Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight have been on in recent months. So yeah, fantastic, wonderful match, wonderful match, well worked, and no bumbles whatsoever from what I could see. Everybody pretty much got everything right. There was no botches. Looked excellent. That brings us to Bandito versus El Idolo Andrade. Another fantastic match. El Idolo has always been a wrestler I enjoyed my entire life, or at least as far as I have seen El Idolo. I've seen him in several different productions, and I've always been an absolute fan. Something, again, the commentator spoke about, which is one of the reasons I love El Idolo so much, is the fact that he is doing cruiserweight moves at a heavyweight size. And that's because, as he said, he learned as essentially a cruiserweight, someone who's a lot smaller. He got bigger, but he kept the same move sets. So he moves very well for a man his size. Excellent wrestler. Bandito also absolute fantastic. And I will say, best 21 plex I have ever seen. Andrade was on the floor. He couldn't get up. He still hit a 21 plex. He rolled him from the floor all the way up and right back over his head. Best 21 plex I have ever seen. Absolutely phenomenal. My God.
Now, looking for that springing German suplex.
Leads us to a tornado tag between Darby Allin, Roderick Strong, and Orange Cassidy versus Gabe Kidd, David Finlay, and Clark Connors. Now, I will say, as far as Clark Connors and David Finlay, I didn't know these two existed. I didn't. I knew Uriah Connors, who is the youngest Brogan Finlay. That is the youngest son of Fit Finlay. I knew of him. I didn't know of the older brother, David Finlay. Oh, what a bruiser. What a bruiser. He is definitely an interesting wrestler. I think out of the three of those that stood in that match, he was clearly the most interesting one. Gabe Kidd is very animated. He makes for a very good heel. But David Finlay was something special. He was. More so than his younger brother. Maybe his younger brother will find it one day. But David Finlay was something special, and I think he is something to watch in the future. Roderick Strong is going to give you what Roderick Strong always gives you. He is the messiah of the backbreaker, and we knew we were going to get a lot of those. We didn't get as much as I thought or would like, but we got some beautiful backbreakers. Darby Allin's is out of his mind. Yeah, very good match. Expected the winners to be who the winners were of that match, so that wasn't too much of a surprise. Brings us to the Texas Deathmatch finals. Not finals, the main event, I meant, but the final match of the night, which was the Texas Deathmatch between MJF and AEW for the AEW champion MJF versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW championship. Brutal. Y'all bringing syringes out again, bro. It's kind of sick. It's kind of sick. I find it hard to believe that I find it hard to believe that Hangman Adam Page will never ever compete for the AEW title again. That is shit. It's not. That's cowboy shit. That's not true. Come on, you know at some point he will compete again. The barbecue skewers into the head. Oh my God, that is sick. That is sick shit, man. That is sick shit. Yeah, the match was wild. It was crazy. It was a Texas death match. The sugar glass. I hope it was sugar glass. Otherwise, that's just insane, man. So I'm hoping it's sugar glass. But yeah, bananas the whole way through, and the table full of pyro. They outdid themselves. They put their bodies on the line. They came up with some interesting stuff. They worked it well. Kudos to both men who worked exceptionally hard in this match to put on an absolute barn burner, damn near an hour long. Phenomenal. At some point, I think I might watch the match again. It was so good. So yeah, crazy. So this brings us to my favorite part of the segment. This brings us to my favorite part of the show, my favorite segment. It is Joke of the Day. This is a joke I've used a few times before, but it's just good. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think you're really gonna enjoy it.
Hey, can I get your number?
No.
Yourself a season.
Every time. Listen, if you like the content, please hit like, subscribe, hit the notification button. It lets you know when I'm uploading next. And until then, I have been the Triple Crown Champ. I'll see you next time.